Alright, we are on now the videos for patch 1.3, the special program. Obviously, this is a week or so or more old at this point. I've already watched it on my stream. I'm going to be skipping through this because I'm going to go specific points, point by point, to talk about them and my general feelings on what's coming next. I feel like this is better than the reaction because I have a little bit more of my thoughts past, like, ooh, ah, yay, yeah, no, you know, that kind of stuff. Instead, it's, well, let's discuss this. This is going to be more of a discussion, less of a reaction to this content, because I actually have already seen this, obviously. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go ahead and watch the trailer that's about to pop up here for patch 1.3.
We honor those who have passed on. We place
Quick plug. I just released my Yukon companion video today for Honkai Star Rail. Go check it out. It's really good. I love that quest. It's fantastic, and I think you'll enjoy watching that video. So go watch that.
of the dead onto star skiffs and send them out to sail between the stars, to shine brightly among them.
She's best girl. She's my favorite character.
Before you leave, please make time to recuperate. I must attend to some Cloud Knight matters. Farewell for now.
Now, Fushuan, I am
All
not.
things in this world have their laws.
I'm not super into her. I like her as a character, like the story. I'm super interested in that. But as far as like her kid, I don't need it. I already have like characters with Bard and things along those lines. So on my main account, probably won't. Keep telling myself that, you know. I just keep telling myself that. Now, John Hung.
As you can see, we
Pulling for
added a
him.
few things to the simulated
Or
universe.
I have
This
180
is a
completely
big
on her.
achievement.
Absolutely. Plus, she is the architect of the best game mechanic in Star Rail, which is Simulated Universe. So, let's go. Let's go. I think Lynx is cute. I don't know why everybody is like going super crazy over how cute she is. I mean, she's no cuter than any other like fake cat girl. Like, she's no worse than Kaching or no better than Kaching and Genshin, you know, as a fake cat girl. So, yep.
Take a look at how Secret Strength Don Hung handles himself on the battlefield.
Clarity.
As an imaginary type character following the path of destruction, Dan Hung, Imbiber de Lune's specialty, is consuming multiple skill points to trigger an array of powerful abilities. Tapping the skill button enhances the effects of Imbiber de Lune's basic attack, Beneficent Lotus, up to 3 times in succession. Depending on the number of enhancements, Beneficent Lotus becomes Transcendence,
feel like the way he
Divine
describes
Spear,
this
and Fulgurant Leap,
He's
respectively.
super eager,
Hits
but
per action
super
and damage dealt
uninformative. That's my
increase with
biggest
each
problem
enhancement.
with these videos.
Additionally,
Is I
single
don't
target
feel like
damage is replaced with multiple target damage in both
they don't
Divine Spear
describe the
and
abilities
Fulgurant Leap.
well enough.
In Imbiber de Lune's talent, Righteous Heart.
You know what I mean? Like they don't give enough of like, well, this is how this mechanic
Sounds like skill
actually
point management
works
is gonna
in
be
these
pretty
character
important for
previews.
Imbiber de Lune's
I
ally.
honestly
Hold
like.
that thought. When using his ultimate, Imbiber de Lune
I feel like
deals
Genshin's
imaginary
are
damage
better
to a
when
single
it comes to
target
character
and adjacent enemies,
kit previews.
while also receiving a set amount of Squama Sacrosancta.
Also, really, Squama Sacrosancta, really.
Can be used to offset Imbiber de Lune's skill point consumption.
Man, Secret Strength Don Hung is kind of a one-man band.
Oh, that's not all.
SS Don Hung,
Imbiber de
is that what
Lune's
we're calling him
technique,
now?
Heaven Quelling Prismadraken, allows him to enter a
This is
leaping
cool.
dragon
I feel very
state for a
Dragon Ball
time.
Z about
In
this. Or maybe it's because he's a
state,
dragon
using an
or something along
attack
those lines. I
causes
don't know.
Imbiber de Lune
But it feels
to
very Dragon Ball
lunge
Z. I'm okay
forwards
with
a
that.
set distance and strike all enemies he comes into contact with.
Cool.
Entering battle in this way allows Imbiber de Lune
Also,
to
he's
acquire
imaginary.
a set
It's
amount
gonna
of
be real
Squama
strong. The imaginary
Sacrosancta.
team is gonna be
Hello.
busted.
Such is the frightful power of the High Elder. Now that we've introduced Secret Strength Don Hung, let's move on. The Master Diviner, Lady Fushuan.
I keep telling myself I don't want to pull this character, but I'm not gonna lie, I do actually like her kit a lot. I love HP characters. I love tanks, but that's why I might be doing something else. So we'll see. This is a weird music choice for how fast the animation is. It's very slow music, like doo 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 doo, but the animation is like all really fast. It's weird.
Her first encounter with Fu Xuan is a quantum type character, following the path of preservation. But where other path of preservation characters mainly use shields for defense, Fu Xuan takes a different road.
Precisely. After using her skill, Fu Xuan activates the Matrix of Prescience, which lasts for a set number of turns. This allows Fu Xuan to absorb some of that damage for her allies. When the Matrix of Prescience is active, it grants them knowledge
inevitably
about the
they have to make a
entire
character
team,
like this.
increasing
A health
characters'
tank,
max
a tank
HP
that like
and crit
absorbs
rate.
health, has a
Fu
health
Xuan's
regen,
talent
things along
offers a
those lines.
variety of effects.
It's not
Firstly,
surprising.
Fu
It's
Xuan
very
can provide
standard
a
in any
permanent
RPG,
misfortune
right?
avoidance state, reducing the damage taken by the entire team. Secondly, when Fu Xuan's HP drops below a set percentage, she recovers a set percentage of HP.
POV, you're Fu Xuan's enemy.
Really strong,
Why are
actually.
my attacks healing her?
That's not all.
So,
Fu
from
Xuan-
my understanding of this, also, if you get her to a certain amount of energy regeneration, she's effectively immortal because she gets more, and they don't really explain this, I think, in here, but she gets more stacks of that get HP back every time she casts her ult, up to like 1 stack or something, and she can hold 2 stacks of it. So, essentially, as long as you have enough energy regen, she's kind of immortal, right? Like it's very interesting how that's going to work out because she's quantum, so she doesn't need, and none of her kit seems to have effect hit rate requirements. So you don't have to build effect hit rate on her. You don't want her crowd control, so obviously you want effect risk. She is a tank. I don't know if she's going to have any in her kit. I haven't looked at that yet. She's going to want a massive amount of HP, and that's it. Like, that's it. She does not going to need any other substats other than effect res to make her kit work. She doesn't transfer a percentage of her crit rate, or she doesn't transfer a percentage of her crit rate to any allies. I think it's a percentage of her HP or a set amount of HP. I'll have to look at that later. But all she's going to need is HP. Like, that's it. Because she's not going to be there for damage, even though I think, and I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure her basic attack actually scales off her HP, if I remember correctly. So if you do build damage stats on her, she will actually probably be a high damage dealing preservation character because she already gives a crit buff in itself anyways, which is something to consider when it comes to building your tanks. If you can get more damage in your team and still be tanky, that's always a good option. This is why I actually have been considering and trying to build my preservation characters with DPS stat, with crit and crit damage stats, because their numbers may be small, but they can be bigger by having those stats. As long as I have defense percent and effect res and speed, obviously, then building the crit stats on them is never a bad idea. So, like, basically, you build them like you would a DPS, except for everywhere you would have attack percent, you want defense percent, right? So, and I think on preservation characters, you'd probably, instead of having an elemental orb, you'd probably still have like a defense percent orb just to make sure you still get those high number of defense stats.
Xuan's ultimate deals
Or in her
quantum
case,
damage to
HP,
all
obviously.
enemies, but it also increases the frequency of her talent's HP restoration effect.
Oh, it does.
And I almost forgot to
Good to see.
mention, Fu Xuan's technique can grant a big
I've heard a lot of people talk about how this is kind of not good, but here's the thing. Sorry, I've got a gnat problem, so it's super hot, and they've just been the lights make them want to eat me. Anyways, I've heard a lot of people talking about this technique being kind of bad because it's defensive, and well, that never happens. Well, it does happen occasionally because you're not paying attention. And 2, it activates her skill at the start of the battle, and because it's a active passive, as in it's a buff instead of an attack, means you can stack it with other abilities. One of the things that I find in a lot of my team comps is I have too many characters that their technique is an attack instead of a buff. I actually would much prefer characters with defensive buffs or buff, either a defense or / buff effect rather than an attack effect. There are a lot of characters that have attack effect. March 7th, Natasha, Pella, Kafka, like, you know, all those characters have attack types. Even like Sampo his doesn't activate the fight, but it's still an attack, right? So his counts as like a buff attack buff, I should say, is what I would consider as like a buff attack, whereas hers is a buff defense, right? I think this is a great technique. I think it's totally fine.
Barrier for
Has
the
really
whole
niche
team that
use
lasts
on
for a
its
set duration.
like defensive
During
capabilities.
exploration,
But
the barrier blocks
what
all
it does
enemy attacks,
actually,
thereby preventing battles that would otherwise.
thinking about it, it would allow you to pop her buff first. In like if you come around a corner and there's a mob and they immediately notice you, like those big great axe mobs that like just like they have a super fast attack animation, right? They just hit you. The best thing you can do against them is pop this buff before you go around a corner, however long it lasts. It probably lasts, it might be like Yukong's where it only lasts like 20 seconds, whatever, but that's plenty of time. And then you can do the other buffs that you need to do while that's happening. Like you can, do Dan Heng's attack buff, you can do Herta's attack buff, whatever buff you're trying to put on yourself, Jing Yuan's stacks, right? You can put all those buffs up while this is up so you don't get attacked. It gives you time to do that. Then you can switch to your character that's actively attacking or attack at the same time. So that it gives you a chance to set up in content outside of Memory of Chaos, because monsters in Memory of Chaos do not attack you, but monsters from Stagnant Shadow, monsters in Simulated Universe, monsters in the Overworld, monsters and pretty much everywhere else, they attack you. Even I think in Equilibrium, they attack you. So the best thing you can do is put this up, then buff up. So if the enemy notices you while you're buffing, this will keep you from being attacked. I've had that happen several times, and I know it's happened to other people, so this technique is nowhere near as useless as some people have been trying to make it out to be.
Wise have triggered in this way. Her technique also activates the Matrix of Prescience automatically at the start of the next battle.
That's our master diviner. Reliable and determined. No wonder she's got her sights set on the...
Yeah, very good.
We're moving swiftly on to our final character.
Oh, yeah,
It's time we introduce...
I mean, she's cute, right? Like, but I'm not... I've got Natasha, Bailu, and Luocha. I understand that she has a cleanse
Surname ring a bell.
on her ult.
Of abundance, who provides a variety of
The
healing
Quantum
for
team
her
is now alive, though.
Her skill can restore HP to a single ally and grant them survival response for a set number of turns, boosting their max HP. If an ally with survival response follows the paths of destruction or preservation, the likelihood of them being targeted by enemy attacks increases.
Now, this is the most important, my opinion. This is the most important part about her kit. The fact that she has a taunt effect on her skill, similar to March 7th, which also provides a heal. I think it provides a hot. I think they said it provides a heal over time. Is huge for destruction characters. Not so much preservation characters, but it's huge for destruction characters like Clara and Blade, because they have effectively Clara in particular, because she has counter mechanics. Getting more taunts on her is so good. If you can put her effect and March 7's skill and then Clara's ult, I'm pretty sure, like, contribution wise, like the whole formula for threat value would probably equate to about 90% for her. I'm pretty sure she would have most of the chance to hit, like the vast majority. It would be probably really, if your fourth character is a hunt character or an erudition character with the super low threat and threat reduction effects, especially in the hunt characters, I highly doubt Clara would ever not get hit, which is good because counters. Clara is very, very strong. If you have Clara, you should build her. In the case of Blade, this is also good because if it is a hot, it'll help him stay above that 50%, so he can use his ult to reduce health instead of healing himself. These will also allow you to it would allow Blade to be hit more often so that he can get stacks of his passive more often. Like, she would honestly, because of the cleanse on her heal, the fact that she has an AoE heal, the fact that she has a threat increase, I would probably run her over Luocha in situations where I don't need debuff removal or I don't need imaginary. I think she's a great alternative to Luocha because Luocha, or Luocha, how the hell you pronounce his goddamn name, he's a very offensive healer. Obviously, he builds attack. You can build some damage on it, whatever. It's just basic attacks. It doesn't really matter. However, I have encountered recently issues where especially if he doesn't have speed, his passive doesn't come up enough. And so characters will just start dying, and you don't have an oh shit button in the form of Luocha. Like, he will heal one character up a ton, but if you have a lot of AoE damage coming out, or burst AoE damage, like the Bellabog mage girls who do the big stack, and you happen to not get enough attacks off, or you got crowd controlled by they're in prison, and it just like goes flaring out, you might lose a character or two, and Luocha is going to fall behind. Depending on the turn, it all depends on the action economy. But there's a situation you can run into. It's rare, but it can run into it. In her situation, you know, she has a AoE cleanse, so get rid of all that in prison. She has the oh shit heal in her ultimate, and I'm sure most likely she's probably maybe gonna have some effect res in her kit, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think she's good. I think on a face value, she's gonna be very strong. I don't think she like immediately removes Natasha from the equation. I do think she's better than Natasha because she does everything that Natasha does, but slightly better because she has an AoE cleanse and she gives a taunt when she uses her skills, so that's pretty damn strong. You know, it's hard to say she's not better than Natasha. It also depends, again, because of the way this game is built, it also heavily depends on your team comp, right? If you have, let's say you have a Kafka team, you're probably, and you don't want to use Luocha. You're probably going to want to use Natasha because Natasha is physical. So occasionally your healers will break because they're actually attacking more than any other character. Generally, other than like your hunt characters. But they're usually attacking more than any other character by virtue of the fact that they don't have to heal all the time. They have other ways of healing, etc. So her basic attacks are going to break sometimes. The way break effect on Natasha or Bailu is good because their breaks do more damage. You can get more damage out of them. Break effect's okay on Luocha, but imaginary break. It's strong, but I wish it did a little bit more. I don't know. I personally am not a hugest fan of imaginary break in context. Anyways, quantum break is also quite strong, but it's not a dot. So like if you were doing a Kafka team, you'd probably want to bring Natasha simply for the fact that you would get other chances to get more of those bleed dots, which in the case of a healer, you need break effect to do more dot damage, but bleed dots are the highest initial dot and the high because they do percentage HP or percentage toughness in terms of dot damage. So they're very strong. So that's why Natasha will probably not will not be like replaced on a team like that. Her single target cleanse is still good. Her heal over time is still good. She still has the safety heal on herself. She's still strong. As a free to play character, she's still going to be very strong. But yes, Lynx is a limited banner character. So of course she's going to be a bit stronger than Natasha. I'm not surprised by this. Anybody who is should probably rethink how they view the game because this is going to happen a lot. As more and more characters come out, they'll be more and more busted. I'm really curious to see what Topaz's kit's going to end up being because she's the second hunt character we're getting. She's fire. We'll see if she is at the same level of Zila or worse, right? So I think that's enough about Lynx. Continue on.
Times big things come in small packages. You know, I forgot to mention Lynx's talent. It can grant a continuous healing effect to targets of her skill and ultimate for a set number of turns. This effect will further restore a set amount of HP to characters with survival response. Similarly, her technique can also grant a continuous healing effect for a set number of turns, but to the entire team.
That's really good.
Talk about being a reliable healer.
That's very strong. So she's actually really strong. She has a similar mechanic to Bailu, except it's proactive instead of reactive, I guess is the best way to describe it. Because Bailu's invigoration, which gives energy, by the way, people really need to like not underestimate the power of the fact that Bailu can give you extra energy. But with 3 stacks of that passive, when you get hit, you heal. So it's sort of reactive. You take damage, you heal, but it can save your life. I'm pretty sure it can stop you from dying in the context of how fast the heal comes out. I'm not sure. I actually never paid attention. I'll have to look at that. But this is a proactive hot heal over time for those who don't.
Version 1.3 in the
okay, so let's talk about this banner. Let's talk about the 1.3 initial banner with Imbibitor Lune, Danhung. This banner is so good. This banner is so good. I don't care what any other person out there is saying right now. I don't care if there are stats on it. I don't care. This banner is good. I'm not saying you should spend all your money. I'm not saying that or anything along those lines. However, if Inhibitor Lunae is a character that you want, this banner is worth pulling on, obviously, for the character. If you like any of these three characters, if Yukong, Asta, or March are your waifu number one, obviously you want to pull on the banner. But if you're looking for strictly account power, this is one of the better banners, and here's why. I'm gonna talk about this, okay? I'm gonna skip over Yukong first. I'm gonna go to Asta because actually she's the best character on this banner. That includes the 5-star. Asta, I'm gonna get real close to the camera. I'm gonna get real close to the microphone right here, so you guys can like really listen to me. I want you to come in, okay? Asta is the most busted character in the game. She's free at E0. She's the first character you get out of the gacha, and she is the most busted character in the game. And you'd be like, Asta, the 4-star? What? That's crazy. No, you don't understand the power of speed then, okay? Speed is so important. It's so important. I have another video that I'm working on talking about MOC, Memory of Chaos. In terms of speed is so important in terms of actually like doing really well at content, at like progressing, at making your account stronger, having more speed and being able to clear content faster and not be screwed over by mechanics. You begin to understand just how strong speed is. Now, obviously, this is in my own testing. I don't have numbers for you. I'm not going to throw a bunch of stuff on thing. This is just my own acknowledgments of how I've played the game so far, both with and without speed. And I'm telling you right now, speed is the most important stat in the game. You should run speed boots on pretty much every character except Clara. And even then, maybe. I'll have to test that some more. Anyways, Asta gives a massive speed buff to the entire party. You could reasonably, if you have enough energy regen, which means you'll need Eidolons, and the right light cone, the right ball and chain, all that stuff, you could theoretically keep her ultimate buff up the entire time, and you could run no speed on anybody. You could have everybody just going off the speed that Asta gives from her ultimate, which I think at max is like something like 60 or so speed. Like, it's insane, okay? Having a character that just says everybody take another turn, another action every turn is really, really, really strong. With higher Eidolons, her kit just gets so much better to use. Eventually, she gains more energy regeneration. She loses less stacks. If you get to E6, she only loses 1 stack a turn. It's so good. She is so good. You can run her in any team comp. In any team comp, she makes the team better. Just straight out. Okay? She just makes the team better. In any team comp. Her Eidolons are very, very strong. March 7th herself is very, very strong. She is the very first character you acquire in the game outside of the main character, and she is 100% absolutely worth investing in. She is very strong. Her shield is strong. Her taunt is strong. Her counter is strong. Her ult is strong. The freeze mechanics are strong. If you get Eidolons on her, her counter does defense scale damage now, and if you get even more Eidolons on her, she starts to heal with her shield, and it cleanses in her traces. Okay? She is like the character that you should level at the beginning of the game. For sure. And she will last you till the end of the game if she's one of your options. If like ice and things are an option. I will say this, she's better on manual play than she is on auto play. So you can direct targets with her shield. So something to consider. I don't have a lot to say about her because I feel like most people kind of know. And I know like most people know about Asta, but I still need to push that. So now let's talk about my favorite character in the game, Yukong. Yukong is an imaginary harmony character who's actually a hunt character. Okay, I want to make that very clear. She's actually a hunt character. All right. She's kind of not great without her Eidolons. She's one of those 4 stars. If you've played Genshin, you know 4 stars like this. She's kind of not great without her Eidolons. Characters like Goro, Kujo, Sara, you know, those specific elemental crit damage characters where they're really, really good if you get them to E6. She's kind of like that, where she has a massive crit rate, crit damage buff for everybody in the party when her skill's passive effect is up. However, because of the way her mechanics work, she has a tendency to waste energy, and it's kind of awkward with her skill, basic skill, that you can sometimes cast her ultimate without having roaring bowstrings up. And if you're on, she's terrible on auto, because the auto will just use her ultimate without having roaring bowstrings up, her passive from her skill, which will just waste it, and you just won't get the crit rate, crit damage. You'll still get the extra like damage from the ultimate, but you won't get the crit rate and the crit damage for everybody and for the ultimate, obviously. So, but at E6, her best Eidolon, she gains a stack of roaring bowstrings when she casts the ultimate, which allows her to not only on demand give roaring bowstring to whichever character is currently taking action, thus giving them the crit rate, crit damage bonus. She also has the capability, if you're feeling generous, to push the buff onto every other character depending every couple of rotations. It means that you don't have to worry about wasting energy popping her skill after you use her ultimate. Now you might end up wasting a stack, but that's fine. That's whatever. It doesn't matter at that point. It's mostly the energy waste and not getting the buff. It guarantees that her ultimate will always give you nearly 30% crit and nearly like 60% crit damage. It's a massive buff. And she fully benefits from this because she is one of those characters, because of her traces and her skills and her ultimate, all like everything doing damage other than her skill, she can do a lot of damage. She can pump out a lot of damage as a 4-star hunt character. Her ultimate has the same scaling as 4-star Dan Heng's ultimate scaling before the slow effect bonus kicks in, which is a whole other thing, right? So it's something worth thinking about. Also, her basic attack hits really hard as well, and is the only character in the game currently with weakness efficiency in her kit, which is something you could only get in the simulated universe. It means that she is the like number 1 harmony character for imaginary weak enemies. If the enemy is imaginary weak, you bring Yukong because her basic attack will break that toughness bar real fast. She'll give a good buff, and it's an easy it gives you a reason, an incentive, a good incentive, extra damage, more break to actually weave basic skill, auto basic, basic skill, right? Or skill basic, whatever. You'd probably start with a basic, especially if you have your ultimate at the beginning. So that's just something to consider with Yukong is if you want to use her, you're probably going to want to try to get her Eidolons to get her E6. It's not like she's not good before then, because she has the highest attack buff in the game, the highest crit rate buff in the game, and the highest crit damage buff in the game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure about that, because Bronia's crit damage buff requires a massive amount of crit damage for you to actually reach the same amount that Yukong has. Though but it can be more. It depends on how much crit damage you get. It's just you need a lot of it to actually get to that percentage. Her attack buff is weaker than her attack buff. Tingyan's attack buff is weaker. The damage percent is obviously just damage percent, but it's technically lower than the crit damage amount that you get from Yukong's. The attack buff is also higher than, I believe, than Asta's, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I haven't looked at that in a bit. So she gives the highest attack buff, the highest crit rate, and the highest crit damage buff. She gives 30% crit rate. 30% crit rate to everybody. Now, people would say, but it only lasts like 2 turns or 2 actions or whatever. No, it lasts way more than 2 actions. It is actually 2 turns. It only goes away once 2 characters have taken a turn, which if you speed tune correctly, then that shouldn't be a problem. Like, this shouldn't even be a question. Obviously, you should be speed tuning your teams. So that's what I expect out of you if you're playing on this banner. Companion missions. I think it's interesting that we still... So companion mission for Dan Heng, companion mission for March, companion mission for Lynx and a companion mission for Luca. I'm actually looking forward to all 4 of these. Probably Lynx is the least, if only because out of these 4 characters, she's probably, like, if I had to scale these 4 characters and order them, I would say Dan Heng, Luca, March, and Lynx. In terms of how much I want to know about their story, this is March's last chance. I'm just going to put that out there. For me, this is March's last chance to show me that she's not just Paimon 2.0. Okay? We'll be able to get some of the rewards for it, so that's fantastic. I think this is great. It's another museum type of content, and I really enjoyed the museum type of content. You get to talk to all the characters. I'm sure there will be some sort of mechanic in this that'll be like that, which would be really cool. So you get to go like hang out with Jing Yuan or something along those lines, have them come to the shop or whatever. Maybe you go through the stalls with some of the characters. That would be cool. And I mean, Su Sheng's cool, so having story with her, like that's the thing. A lot of the characters in this game are really interesting, just kind of overall. So I never feel like, oh man, not this character. So other than March. So yeah. This is great. This is fantastic. Now,
All right, folks.
this is huge. This is so huge. Okay, the simulated universe is the swarm disaster, right? This story, this quest, this information, like this is lore. This is an active story. This
It's
is
time to talk.
all kinds of interesting stuff. I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, this like the chessboard. It looks like a honeycomb. I like it. These random things going on throughout it. It's all based in the simulated universe. Like here's the thing with the simulated universe. Because of the way they have it set up, they can do whatever they want in it, and it doesn't matter because it's not real. It's all a virtual reality cinematic universe kind of thing, right? So we just get to have fun. And the fact that they are adding content to this part of the game that everybody can enjoy and have fun with, that is, I don't know. This is, to me, this is a lot. There is a lot in just this event alone coming out on top of the Aurum Alley stuff, right? Which is like the museum going to be very involved. So this is a lot for like the third patch of the game. I feel like this is a pretty big quest, and the lore here is going to be insane with the propagation and Tizinoth and all that stuff, right? Because I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, this situation actually resulted in the creation of Nanook, because the fight to end the propagation happened on Nanook's planet. If I remember correctly, I might be remembering that wrong. If I am, I'll put something here that says I'm wrong, but if not, there we go. However, that's I'm pretty sure. So that's another key piece of information to think about here, is if we find out anything about like Nanook as a mortal before he became the destruction. It's very Zerg. This right here, I cannot express enough how cool this is. The fact that they have an event that's going to be like a one-time, which will may end up in the history archives, probably won't. The fact that it's also adding permanent content for the simulated universe in terms of the propagation is huge. Because a couple of things. One, there's all the stellar jades and all the other stuff that you're getting out of that, but you're also getting content that you can use in the game for the foreseeable future. And you'll get stellar jade from that too, because I imagine there will be new propagation cards. And propagation is based on basic attacks, so you're probably going to get a lot of really cool things with that, which will be fun with like Blade and other characters and stuff along those lines. And Dan Heng and any other basic attack damaging style of characters like QQ. So this is cool. Propagation, yeah. Propagation, basic damage, 24%. Awesome. I can't wait to see what the basic attack cards are. I wish they had given us a couple previews here of some of the cards. I assume there's going to be cards. I could be wrong, but I assume there's going to be more cards for this. I don't know what the propagation metamorphosis does, but I assume it gives you like a ton of basic attack sort of style stuff. So it's gonna be really fun. And the fact that it is continuous content forward, I really hope, and this is a mistake that I don't think they're going to make, but they could very easily make the mistake. How do you get the propagation after this event? So when the event is over, how does a person who just joins the game like, oh man, I missed the propagation event, I missed the swarm invasion, how do I get propagation path? It's not like it's added from a new world. I hope there's like either a mini quest or this does stay in the game in like a lower fashion with less like rewards to get the lore and get the path of propagation. That would be cool. Or if you just complete World 7, perhaps, you'd get Propagation, since that was the newest world just before this came out. So maybe they just add Propagation Path to World 7, like, you know, you get Abundance in 5 and all this other stuff, right? I think that'd be kind of cool. Either way, I still think it's cool that they just are adding another path and more stuff Simulated Universe. This is the smartest thing, because it's not like Simulated Universe is hard, right? But it's fun. It's so much fun just like coming to Team Comp and just running through things. Even if it's the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. It's easily repeatable, fun content because it is different every time. You know, roguelikes, that's the enjoyment of it. And they are going into it fully. Like, they are putting all their eggs in that basket. Like, they still have our Abyss content, MOC, but they have this. And it did get more difficult. World 7 was not necessarily super easy, but it was fun. So the more new bosses and things and mechanics we get like this, it'll be really interesting to see them in the Simulated Universe. This is the big one. This is the big one right here. The max Trailblaze power increased from 180 to 240. I'm sorry, Genshin, you lose. It's over. The fight is over. Okay? There is no comparison already. Okay? Like, I played Genshin for about a year and a half. Okay? I did not start at the beginning of the game. I started like 2 years into the game. Or something along those lines. The fact that they still have only a cap of 160, the player base had to beg for that cap of 160 in the first place. The fact that it's only gone up to 160, the fact that it's still not changed, the fact that the relics are still as terrible as they are. We have at least the resin stuff, the changing resin here. Like, this is huge. And the reserved Trailblaze power is like a 1-to-3 ratio transfer. That's great. That's fine. I mean, I didn't log in. I don't deserve those points, right? I get it. But if you're still going to give me some of them, that's fantastic. It's really good for all the ults I don't play half the time. So I can still, you know, go back onto those accounts and have some fun with them or do something with them, because eventually they'll just have a full stack of stuff in there for me to do for a little while, which is nice. It's so good that I don't feel forced or like I'm missing something for not logging into the game. It makes me want to play more because the game respects my time. The game, the company, the game, the developer for the specific team, the developed team for this game respects my time. I don't have time to log in and play the game twice, 3 times a day just to make sure I stay away from the egregious cap and don't get the resources I want, because resources are, this game is very resource intense. I feel like a lot of these gacha games are, but this one, it feels even more so sometimes. So that is a big one. All right, that is a big one. Emotes, Genshin would never. Again, Genshin would never. Every patch so far, every patch, free 10 summons, free to play players, eating like kings. Eating like kings is the end of the program. Yeah, that is the end of the program. Cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is a great patch. This patch is going to be super exciting. I'm super excited for the patch. I'm super excited for all the content. I'm super excited for everything coming our way. It's going to be great. I put the pause screen on the sushi. What is this face? Anyways, I hope you guys liked that. I hope you guys liked the discussion about it. I hope you appreciate the this style. Instead of like a reaction to it, I just go through it and discuss it because it's more in-depth, I feel. And I prefer more in-depth content rather than, I don't know. So, yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. If you like this kind of content, if you like my videos, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button. If you go down below and you hit subscribe. You don't even have to hit the bell. I don't even need the bell. It's fine. You don't have the bell. You don't want my videos clogging up your bell notification. That's fine. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe. And if you hit the subscribe, occasionally, you know, my videos will pop up in your feed. You'll click on them. You'll enjoy them, hopefully. And maybe one day you'll be like, you know what? I want to see more content from this guy. So let's go ahead and hit the bell. But you don't have to hit the bell right now. You can just hit the subscribe. And at least leave a like. Maybe a comment. That's cool too. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this time. And I hope you're having a good day. With that, that's going to be it for me. And I will see you guys next time. Later.